pretty, I guess, big celebrations on the weekend. How big do you think that result can be in terms of confidence for later in the year?
Yeah, look, it was great to. I think we had 35,000 people there at the ground for an away team, interstate team. So to have that kind of support, it just meant that it felt like a real home game, and I think the crowd were excited. It was certainly very loud. So I think the players sort of appreciated, the atmosphere that the fans created, and we probably we were really excited when we got the win, and obviously it's going to be a sort of pretty tight couple of last rounds, but we've given ourselves an opportunity.
How's your hip feeling at the moment and getting through the game? It looked like you're moving pretty well. Do you think it won't take long to get back to your best?
Oh, look, it felt pretty good. Just a little bit stiff and sore in the sort of general body after not playing for a while. But the program that the rehab people put together, Hibbo and I were in it for a fair chunk of time, and felt as if we were able to certainly physically come back in a condition to perform. And any time you come back to play, you sort of want to have confidence that the preparation that you've done will enable you to play and actually contribute. So, it was credit to the rehab guys.
Bomber said last week that he thought you might not come back at early stages. Did that thought ever cross your mind? Did you think that might be a chance of happening as well?
Well, after speaking with Julian Fowler about 2 weeks post-surgery, he sort of looked at the wound and how it had healed, and he was pretty confident that it wouldn't sort of be a 12 to 14 week. It was closer to sort of 9 to 10. So, he gave me some confidence. The way it had felt throughout the rehab sort of gave you confidence as well. And probably, if we really wanted to push it, could have come back a week earlier. But it just didn't really make that sense.
Did you surprise yourself with what you're able to do personally?
Look, I had confidence in the way that I prepared and the way that the body felt. So you never really know for sure. But I guess I just didn't want to come in and be a liability to the team. And again, once the program that the guys put together felt as if I was in physical condition to play.
On the siren, it looked like you enjoyed that winning feeling a fair bit.
Yeah, I've copped a bit of grief from the players, but I said to them, you don't get to celebrate much in rehab. It's not a pretty place, so I probably over-celebrated. It was nice. I got caught up in the emotion.
On the Gold Coast this weekend, it's a pretty critical game.
It is. It is a critical game. Again, it's our last home game, so it'd be great to have as many Essendon supporters as we can down there and create that sort of home environment atmosphere at Etihad. And they've been playing well. I watched the first half of the Port Gold Coast. It was a really physical game, and so we're going to have to play well to beat them, and we want to play well, and that's the challenge. We talked about learning from wins, and there's plenty of things that we can learn from the game on the weekend.
You speak about learning. That was your longest layoff in your career, probably. What did you learn about your team when you're watching for 10 weeks?
Yeah, well, you forget how hard the game is to play pretty quickly when you're watching. But I think that it's as plain as everyone to see is the development of individuals in the team, the way in which some of the guys have developed their leadership skills. Dyson is obviously one that comes to mind straight away. David Myers, Jason Winderlich, Brent Stanton. The whole leadership group has really, I think, driven how the players have gone. So that's been really pleasing, and I think there's been some maturity and development of individuals. I think Paddy Ryder's having the best season that he's had at the club. Someone like Zach Merritt to come in and play the first year, the amount of games that he's played, the consistency that he's played at. So there's been real development in a lot of areas.
A lot of people have had their, I suppose, 2 cents on what should happen next year with the coaching. Just what do you think the answer is at the moment, and are you none the wiser?
Yeah, well, I don't have the answer of what will happen. I think it depends on what the individuals want. I know Bomber went into this with a pretty clear-cut message that it was a 1 year to be the senior coach. I think that he found that quite liberating, knowing that it had an end date for him. The exhaustion and I suppose every senior coach goes through the amount that it takes out of you. So whether or not he wants to stay involved in footy and involved in the Essendon Football Club, that is something that he will decide. And I think he'll probably take a while to make that decision after the season finishes.
Speak of it. You're right. You're right.
But you've come to the thought that Hurdy's the coach next year and the playing group as well. That's certainly going to be the case.
Yeah, that's certainly the case. We've heard nothing different. I know the players are excited to have Hurdy back, but again, we'd love to have Bomber here as well. I think that you don't find guys who sort of built dynasties at clubs, winning two-time premiership coaches. They're not around everywhere. So to have that experience and to have his knowledge, and I think it'll be up to him and what he wants to do, though.
You speak of the development, but how do you think the group is tracking? Are you playing finals standard footy often enough?
We'd like to be doing it more consistently, and that's a challenge. And you see why the teams who finished top 4 last year are again probably the teams that are going to finish top 4 when the season finishes this year. It's because they have the consistency to do so, and that's the challenge for us. So I think, look, we earned the right to play finals last year. We didn't get that opportunity. We're trying to earn the right to play this year.
We've seen the last 2 times you've actually played finals, you've sort of limped in and then got belted in the first week. What makes you think that that's not going to happen again, I guess?
Well, all you can do is concentrate on the preparation and the way that we prepare to play, the style in which we play. I think we've held up defensively this year, where other years we probably sag off towards the end of the season. I think we're still 3rd in points conceded. So our ability to defend the ground, I think, has kept us in games this year when we haven't been playing well, and probably Saturday afternoon was an example of that. And you look at the way finals are played; they're pretty contested, low-scoring type of games.
Do those games? Sorry, mate, just one more on that. Do those games mean anything to you? I mean, do you still remember those games when they're probably the only finals you played in the last few years?
Yeah, it's been. I think it's been 10 years since this club's won a game in the finals. So. That's not a successful history, and I've been here for 12 of those years, so I certainly know what it's like to finish in round 22 and have the season finish. So I think that the club is focusing on the Gold Coast, because the Gold Coast gives us an opportunity to then be in a position to play finals. So that's where our focus is.
You played in that last winning final. How important is it to actually get a win in the finals in terms of just the development of the group? Given the age profile, the experience levels, you can't just go from not playing to striking for the flag. You need to build it up. Do you feel like it's important to get a scalp this year in September?
Well, I mean, history says you can't do it. There's no rule that says you can't do it. But I think it's certainly important for any club who wants to be successful to play finals football. And to be successful, you have to win finals. So we're no different to anyone else.
Jake Carlisle, do you think he'll play? He's been walking around on crutches, looks pretty sore.
Yeah, I saw him today. He's looking a lot better. He'll have to be able to train and know that he can perform at AFL level for him to come into the team. No.
And Dustin Fletcher, do we know how he's recovering from that operation? And do you hope that he goes on next year? Do you think he's got it in him?
Yeah, I've seen him at the club, and so it's still in a cast, but he said the operation was successful, quite painful, but successful. I think it would be great for Dustin to play and to be, hopefully a 400-game player at the Essendon Football Club. But he has to decide whether or not he wants to, whether or not he feels as if he can actually get his body through it. Because I can't speak for a 39-year-old, but as a 29-year-old, it's hard enough. So I'm not sure whether or not he feels as if physically he's going to be able to get there and then be able to contribute to the team. But I think to have a 400-game player would be something pretty special. Despite
him being out, now you're back and Michael Hibbert's back and maybe Jake Carlisle, do you think you're in better shape than you have been at the end of a season in terms of injury-wise?
Yeah, look, we're tracking okay at the moment. I think that if you have a look at perhaps the style of football that we're playing has been a bit different to where we've been in the last few years. And I go back to defensively. We really started to leak goals in the last sort of 6 to 8 rounds of previous 3 seasons, and we're still being able to maintain that, and that sort of credit to the way in which the guys have been coached, and also the individuals, Hooker and Bagley and Hurley, and the guys who have spent a lot of time in that back line.
You saw a bit of vision last night of you on the phone, or at least trying to be on the phone to Bomber. It was, I don't know if you remember the incident where Bomber has jumped on the phone, he's tried to speak to you, you've yelled out a few instructions, you got the phone back about twice. Do you remember the incident at all?
Yeah, I thought he'd stop talking, but he's sort of rambling on, and I thought I better pick it back up.
Does it happen often with Bomber on the phone, or?
Yeah, all the time.
It's just on a different tack. Melbourne's put their hand out for a priority draft pick. What do you think? Do you think they deserve one?
It's an interesting question. I don't really think about Melbourne much, or the draft. I know that we don't have a pick until the end of the first round, and that's all I really care about.